And three. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second edition of the TBD Show. I'm here with Ducktown Quackers owner Kevin McIsaac. We're going to break down all of the trades and waiver acquisitions of the week. Before we really dive into the most recent trades, we actually have found out that it may not be over yet. Kevin, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so I was speaking to our dear friend Byron McNamara earlier today, and I threw an offer out there. I think he's a little tentative, but I think he likes the idea of it, and he wanted to sit on it a little bit and think about it. But then he went to go play golf with his his buddy Bobby. I have a feeling they drank maybe 10, 15 beers out on the course in 9 holes. Especially if Brian was on fire, they always do shotguns after birdies. So I'm thinking maybe I should just give him a call right now and see if we can get the deal done. What do you think? Should I do that?
I think that's a great idea. Let's get him on the horn and see what he thinks.
All right, I'm going to call him right now. He doesn't know I'm calling him, so hopefully he picks up. And I'm going to put it on speakerphone. Can you hear that?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, B-Mac.
Hey, Kevin.
Guess what?
What's up?
JK and I are recording our little podcast thing right now.
Hey, Brian.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, B-Mac, how you doing,
One?
bud?
I can't hear him.
You can't hear him? All right, well, that's fine, because the only reason I'm calling is I want to see if we can get that deal done right now.
Right now?
Yeah, what do you think? I'm giving you plenty.
I think I want to do it, but I don't want Toby Gerhardt, and I don't want to move Williams.
Let's take a second to actually break down the trade. Kevin, what's the offer on the table?
Bush, and you could take Gerhardt out and move Jennings in,
Brian,
but I'd want a little bit more.
you want more. You don't think that sounds greedy, that you just want more?
No. I mean, it probably does, but I don't care.
Well, I wasn't prepared for a counter offer. Jesus Christ, I thought you would just say yes, and then we would break down the deal.
Can Brian hear me?
No, Brian
I
can't.
don't have it. I'm walking down the street to go get Chinese food right now. I don't have anything in front of me. I don't even know who's on my roster.
All right, this backfired. I thought you'd be able to hear JK and we could talk.
You should have told me you were going to call me player.
We thought it would be funnier if I just called you out of the blue, and I was hoping you were going to be drunk after playing golf.
I was drinking.
Yeah, I think you just hang up on him.
All right.
Just hang up on him.
All right, Mac, I'll call you back later. This isn't going to work.
All right, don't hang up on him.
All right. He's going to hang up on you, JK. All right, later, Mac. Well, that didn't go too.
So he's going to hang up on me?
Yeah, he didn't like the idea of that whole thing. I think he felt like he was being put on the spot, which he definitely was.
I don't know where he got that idea.
Hey, and good for him. He was ready. He was ready to just say, no, I need more for that trade, and I wasn't prepared for that.
You're absolutely right.
I am prepared to say right now I don't want Reggie Bush, so we'll have to have a private conversation, I guess.
Real quick, just for our viewers' sake, what were the terms of that trade?
Oh, you want me to actually go into detail so people would have, like, some idea of what the hell we were just talking about? That makes sense.
Maybe.
All right. Well, it's weird, though, because I don't know if I want to tell everyone what the offer is. If it's just if we put this out there tonight and Brian and I are still in negotiations, I look like I might ruin this trade, but I guess for the good of the show, I'll talk about the details because I'm that invested in the show. So my offer is. We all know that
the show is going to produce more. The show is going to produce more success for you than any trade with BMAC's team ever could.
I also am 1-4. I don't really give a fuck about fantasy football anymore. So I offered Antonio Brown, and the one and only Toby Gerhart.
He is the one and only.
Jacksonville Jaguars, from your Jacksonville Jaguars. And he eventually will give me DeAndre Hopkins, Andre Williams, because I have Rashad Jennings, so that was kind of the intro to our conversation, was that either he should trade me Williams or I should trade him Jennings, because it kind of makes sense for one of us to have both and not to have it split up. And then also Steven Jackson, the 45-year-old running back for the Falcons.
Right.
Just because I need another body. So I mean, it's a 3 for 2, and it's a lot of like solid pieces from him for one great piece in Antonio Brown and one white running back
who has a sprained ankle. Okay, so it's pretty evident that the jury's still out on that. It sounds as if it doesn't matter how much bad golf or shitty beer B-Mac drinks, he still is reluctant to make any changes to his god-awful fantasy football team. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that trade in the next coming days. I'm sure we'll cover it in our next show, certainly. But getting back into things that have actually happened, waiver wire since our last conversation. Picking up where we left off, you pick up Odell Beckham Jr. for $1, and you drop no one on waivers. That's a huge move, I think. I think it's been evident. I have faith in Odell. I drafted him in this year.
Odo, is that what we're calling him? I got really excited the other day because I heard
Jr.?
someone call him ODB Jr. If I had known he ODB Jr., I would have paid $100 for him.
Yeah, ODB Jr., I think he's got outrageous talent. I think he's in an offense that is productive, and they'll find a role for him.
Definitely.
No doubt. Getting him for $1 is a steal off the waivers as far as I'm concerned. So
in that game, too, that touchdown catch he made, I mean, that was a big-time play. Like, that was a really tough grab. He did not look like a rookie on that play. So, I don't know. He's going to be really hit or miss. He's going to be really hard to start, but I feel like as far as, I don't know, stash him on my bench and maybe give him a few weeks, and if he blows up, kind of like Kelvin Benjamin did, that'd be awesome. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially for a buck. It's a no-risk.
Yeah, there's no risk there. It absolutely, with the investment that you made, he's the number 12 pick overall in the draft. I mean, it's evident he has absurd talent. It's just a matter of whether the Giants can game plan for that and take advantage of it. Best move on your part. I think that it'll work out well ultimately. But that being said, you follow that up with adding Joe Flacco for $1.
I was whacked Flacco this week because I thought that Colts game would be a shootout, and I didn't. I picked up Eli, and I also picked up Kirk Cousins, and if there were any other quarterbacks, I probably would have picked them up as well, but I can only fit 3 on my roster.
Just kind of like any quarterback who was out there, you were like, welcome to the Quackers. Come on. I thought
it was a 2-quarterback league, and then once I picked up Flacco, I realized I could only start one of them.
And
so
you
I went with Flacco. It was the
one.
wrong decision. It didn't, but yeah, and the worst part about that whole thing is that in order to do that, I really outthought everything. I just was, overthinking everything. I had to give up Antone Smith, who I had, been keeping on my roster just hoping the Falcons would give him the ball more because he scores every other time he gets it. And then he's a big pickup this week, so someone paid a lot of money for him. So I think I don't know, we can move on because it's not that interesting to everyone else, but the long story short is that, I'm an idiot.
All right, well, at least we got that covered. There's nothing really following that. The next real big transaction, of course, is the trade that I make this week with WrestleMania. I feel a little biased introducing it, so Kevin, why don't you give me the honors and and breaking down.
Okay, yeah. So
introducing the terms of this trade.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to introduce you and Ricky like you've already been introduced and Ricky here. So let's just talk about the trade. I'll introduce the trade.
Break down the trade.
So you want me to break down the trade?
Not break it down.
All right. So
who are the movers?
The movers. All right. So Ricky sent your way Dez Bryant, great player, top 4 wide receiver, however you want to rank those 4 guys. He's one of them. He's a first round pick. He probably, if we redrafted right now, he'd also be a first round pick. And for him, he received Brian Quick, Austin Davis's favorite target on the St. Louis Rams, which, what is that worth? Who knows? And the 4th string running back on the San Diego Chargers, who has 15 carries in his entire career. And I guess now everyone thinks that I don't know. We've been hearing, I think he's the next Bobby Rainey, but I've been hearing that he's the next Darren Sproles. I don't know. He's the next Jesus. Like, I don't know. 15 carries. That's all I can say. And
I'll tell you what,
got fucking Dez Bryant.
There's no history to prove that Jesus could carry a football the way that Brandon Oliver did last Sunday. So that being said,
yeah, and you don't get good traction with those sandals.
And that loose dress, there were no pads. He wasn't really big.
It wasn't a dress.
What was it called?
The robe.
A robe? A robe? Okay. The robe.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
He died for your sins, man. Come on. That's a different. You know what? Let's. I feel like we're podcasting to a bunch of heathens, so they probably don't want to hear my. They don't want to hear my whole thing,
Yeah. So what are your real thoughts on this trade then? Why don't you break it down, analyze it? How do you feel?
All right. Well, yeah, I know. I'm just being a jerk. Brian Quick, he's been really great. I mean, 4 weeks he's put up above 12 points. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's been really solid. Scored a bunch of touchdowns. He said that he had 2 in one game. And he's definitely, he's a solid piece. He's definitely, in our deep league, he's probably a pretty good, you're okay if he's your second wide receiver. But he's on a really bad team. He has a really bad quarterback. I don't care what they say about Austin Davis. Like, he's looked really bad, and he's gotten them way far behind, which has padded his stats, and he's had to throw the ball up. But, I would not trust him if he was the quarterback of the Patriots, I'd shoot myself in the head. Thank God we have Tom Brady.
Interesting.
And then the kid in San Diego. Yeah, that's probably true. The kid in San Diego, I can't even think of his name. What's his name again?
Oliver. Brandon
Oliver. Yeah, Brandon Oliver. Or Brendan Oliver, as Al would probably call him. He actually looked really good. The Jets defense, that's a solid defense. It's one game, and everyone you talk to is raving about this kid, and they really are comparing him to Darren Sproles, which I think is absurd. And even he said it. He's like, I weigh 20 pounds more than Darren Sproles. More importantly than that, he's not nearly quick. It's like shifty. Yeah. And then I also heard a funny one. He's like Mike Tolbert, and I don't know if that person that said that on some dude I follow on Twitter, like a fantasy analyst. I don't know if he's ever seen Mike Tolbert, because Mike Tolbert is 5'7", but he's 475 pounds. So he's not Mike Tolbert. I don't know. He's a good speculative ad if you're adding him. If he was on the waiver wire, I could see someone paying $100 for him and just taking a shot. But to give up someone established like Dez Bryant for those 2 schmucks, I don't know. I think you fleeced him. So congratulations. And now you have those 3 wide receivers. Goddamn.
Yeah, it makes you a little nervous.
Yeah, you like it. Yeah, I know you like it. Yeah. I mean, if this trade with BMAC doesn't work out, maybe I should trade you Antonio Brown, and you could just have every good receiver.
Well, I'm not opposed to that. So, based on the fact
Keep
that you're
one of
trying
them on
to,
your
considering you are blatantly trying to fleece BMAC, I would be willing to discuss a trade for Antonio Brown. Meanwhile, I don't actually think that I fleece Ricky. I think Brandon Oliver can occupy that Woodhead role moving forward, even when Ryan Matthews comes back. Danny
Ryan
Woodhead,
McNamara, the starting running back of the San Diego Chargers.
Danny Woodhead was
That was
Danny Woodhead was the number 16 overall running back last year. So there's value in that role, and I think Brandon Oliver can occupy it. Brian Quick, of course, there are a lot of question marks about him, understandably, whether or not Austin Davis can continue, whether or not Brian Quick is like a flash in the pan. But the fact remains that, sure, they're going to be down a lot of games because Austin Davis isn't the best quarterback, but we're not talking about real football here. We're talking about fantasy football, and that means that when a team is down, they're going to throw, and when they're throwing, it's very evident the Rams are going to Brian Quick, which bodes well for his stats. He's going to have every opportunity in the red zone to score touchdowns. They don't go to anyone else in the red zone. It's obvious.
I agree with you that it's, fantasy is a different game and everything, but the Rams aren't that bad. I think they've been really bad because Austin Davis has played really poorly recently. I think they'll be fine going forward. So
game isn't that great.
Behind 30 points every game.
Which, I mean, if you're behind 30 points, don't you want the number one receiver on that team? I mean, that's who they're going to go to get them back in the game.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Everyone has their own theory, their own strategy. All I know is that, consistently Brian Quick has put up double-digit numbers, aside from their bye week, of course. And you can say that about few other wide receivers other than the studs, which all happen to be on my team. And I'm grateful for that. So, moving forward.
Well, if all I know is if you would propose that trade to me, I would have been Kevin Quick to deny it. We'll play on words there. What do you think? You like that joke?
Ronnie Hillman goes for $159. Andy drops Louis Murphy. And picks up.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And picks up Ronnie Hillman for a $159. It's pretty evident that Andy is desperate for a running back.
Yeah, definitely.
What
do you think of Ronnie?
I think Ronnie Hillman.
Money aside, what do you think?
I think he has 1 week to prove himself, and I think he does prove himself in less than that 1 week. I think within maybe the first half or three quarters, Denver realizes that he is not the answer to the offense that they're trying to run. I think he loses that job pretty quick.
It wasn't a big thing with Denver and their issue with Ronnie Hillman in the past was that he's like the worst pass blocking running back in the league.
He can't protect.
And
that's the ultimate.
Yeah, and that's
that
huge. That's the big part of. Yeah, that's the biggest part of being a running back on that team.
Right.
So yeah, I'm with you. If he couldn't do it in the past, that's not something you learn 6 years into the league. I mean, you should probably be able to pick up a pass rush.
You can do it, or you can't.
Yeah, right. So I'm with you.
And he dropped, Louis Murphy, who has had two good games in a row with Mike Evans going down. Now Mike Glennon takes over at quarterback. He obviously prefers Vincent Jackson, but he's also been susceptible to throwing the ball in a secondary way. Like last year, it went to Timothy Wright, who had a great tight end. He finished top 12, I think, in tight ends in our league last year. Obviously Timothy Wright is with the Patriots this year. He likes big targets. Vincent Jackson is one. Mike Evans is out. Louis Murphy takes that role, Austin Seraphim-Jenkins, can't learn the offense. I don't think Louis Murphy is a huge fantasy asset, but I think he's flex worthy in our league.
Yeah, and Glennon's playing pretty well. Like all of a sudden that team is at least formidable. I mean, they've certainly recovered since that game in Atlanta on Thursday night. So yeah, I'm with you. If he's their secondary target, and Glennon likes to throw the ball around a little bit, and Vincent Jackson's going to get a lot of attention. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I do think it was worth the risk to pick up, if that's who you had to drop, to pick up Hillman. I don't know. Running backs are really few and far between. So and like you said, Andy was completely desperate for a running back. So I don't know. I mean, I understand that, but
right,
it's a lot of money for a guy that's probably going to have a job for about one quarter.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. That's a huge.
As someone who hates the Broncos, I love that Ronnie Hillman's getting the start because I feel like there's a really good chance that Peyton Manning breaks his neck for the 9th time on Sunday.
Well, he's certainly not going to be handing the ball off.
Yeah.
The next waiver acquisition after that Hillman move is Chooch, who he drops Cecil Shorts III, and he picks up your boy Antone Smith for $68.
$68.
It's
good to see that Chooch is alive. It's good to see that Chooch is alive.
I'll tell you what, actually. We are going to get into some Chooch trades coming up real quick.
Yeah.
But, I'll be damned if Chooch hasn't actually tried this year, and I like that.
I give him a hard time. You're right. He's been active.
I'm a big fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of this waiver acquisition, though. Antone Smith's a good player. I don't know if he's worth 68.
I'm going to be kicking myself if he all of a sudden gets the, splits carries and gets the ball 10 to 15 times a game. But, I mean, the thing with him is that he's a career special teamer. I mean, he's 29 years old. He's been around the league. He does look really awesome, and he's really quick. But, I mean, it's such a small sample size. And, like, the touchdown that he scored on that pass, I could have scored that touchdown. Like, it was just a complete breakdown in the defense. They swung it out to him, and he just went. So, I mean, it's incredible. Like, it's a small sample size, but at the same time, it's something like over the last 2 years, he's gotten the ball 25 carries, and he's averaging 15 yards a carry. So, I mean, 25 carries is a small sample size, but it's not that small. I mean, yeah, it's pretty incredible. And they keep saying week after week, Mike Smith keeps saying, let's get him the ball more, like he's earned it, and then they don't do it. So,
right. But I mean, that historically speaking with the Falcons, that goes back to, like 2 years ago with Jaquiz Rogers, they said that when they acquired Steven Jackson, they're like, Steven Jackson's old, we don't want to run him down. We want to, work Quiz into this offense. And then they gave him like 20 touches for the season. The Falcons are notorious for pulling the sort of stunt where they don't really designate who their running back is. And it's like a surprise game, although really it's a surprise that they run the ball at all because they're just going to rely on their throwing game. I mean, they're going to rely on Julio. They're going to rely on Roddy. And then if someone like has their helmet on the sideline, then he's the guy who's going to run the football.
And I mean, isn't this the perfect example of like the classic change of pace back? I mean, you have Steven Jackson in there playing at a snail's pace. You bring in Smith, every other series in one.
From Steven Jackson.
Right, but you bring in Smith every other series to run a couple plays, and you have linemen out there and linebackers who are trying to catch their breath, and all of a sudden you have a speedster out there who might catch, a screen pass and can go. So I don't know if he works if he's getting the ball 20 times a game, they're probably going to make an adjustment. But if they sub on the fly and bring him in real quick and give him the ball 3 times a game, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a reason they're not giving him the ball, because he does score every single time he gets it. So there's got to be a reason. I'm grasping at straws,
I don't have the answers, and certainly neither do you. But it is evident that the talent is there. So I'd be interested to see how they utilize him going forward. They've made, like you said, made note of getting him more touches. I would hate to see that, because I think Julio deserves more touches. He's the only good player on that entire team. So beyond that, Chooch also backs up that 68 purchase of Anton Smith with acquiring Storm Johnson of the Jaguars. He drops Alan Hearns.
Yeah.
Was
he like a former American gladiator or something? Storm? He had to have been a gladiator at some point.
No. Storm Johnson is the major character in the X-Men movie series.
I'm not a nerd, so I never saw that movie.
Oh, but you watched American Gladiators?
Yeah. That's jock shit. That's not nerd shit. Kidding me?
Right.
You ever gotten shot from a tennis ball cannon?
No, I'm not a nerd, so I don't know what a tennis ball cannon is.
No? Handle it. Yeah, the part at the end where they'd have to go through they'd have to pick up the Nerf guns and fire it at the guy on the top of the mountain, and he was shooting down. He had like a machine gun tennis ball thing. My dream was to be that gladiator with the machine gun shooting tennis balls. That was a dream of mine.
Oh, and what was your nickname like? Please elaborate. Like, was it like string cheese or like slick tan or maybe like
lick tan? No, I probably would have been called like the Big Boppa or something like that.
Right. So your nickname was way better than the shitty ones I proposed.
Yeah.
Let's not get carried away into the dreams of your childhood.
Yeah. Sure.
Ross picks up Dwayne Allen for $45. He drops Niles Paul. I think that was a smart move. Reed's coming back for the Redskins. I think he's going to take a starting role. That's something you and I actually discussed a couple of weeks ago. I told Ross to pick up Dwayne Allen actually like 3 weeks ago. Instead of Kobe Fleener, who he drafted. He didn't listen to me, and that's what he gets for it. You pick up George Wynn for $25. You drop Akeem Curry. The handcuff to Forte, that's an interesting move. Of course, you're starting George Wynn this week, so it feels like you had to do it. You also back that up with a $24 edition of Eric Ebron. I love Ebron from my days in Chapel Hill. I think he's going to get a lot of play this week. I'm not sure about George Wynn. What are your thoughts on both of those acquisitions?
Yeah, I'm happy to get Ebron because I have Graham on a bye this week, and with Calvin out, Ebron has a chance to get the ball a little bit more. And also, there's just not much available as far as tight ends go. I mean, there's not many people that you'd be comfortable at even on a spot start, just throwing them in there. So I was happy to get him. I thought someone else, I know you put in a small bid for him, but I wasn't sure if I was going to get him for 20 whatever bucks I put down. So I was really happy to get him there. As far as Georgie Boy goes, that was a really, really, really dumb. That I don't even know how to explain it. I thought he would. I guess I thought Joik Bell was out or would be out. I thought it was just going to be old Georgie, the only tailback healthy. And I thought since Rashad Jennings is out this week that I need someone to put in there. I'm not going to put in Toby Gerhardt because he's horrible.
Correct.
But what am I thinking? What am I thinking dropping Forte's handcuff after I just had my other star running back get knocked out for a few weeks and I didn't have his handcuff? It's, I don't know. It's like I never learn. I never learn. I make the same goddamn mistakes over and over again. It's sick. It's sick. And I bet I drop this moron George Wynn tonight. I bet I drop him tonight.
I hope so.
So if anyone wants him, yeah, he'll be back on the wire. That person will have to refund me though. I want half my money back.
That certainly
That's
won't
part of the
happen. Brendan picks up Tim Wright, drops Kristen Michael. Jimmy drops Miles Austin, picks up Colts defense. I get the Joseph Randall, blah, 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 a bunch of defenses are picked up. But then
right. Tim Wright's an interesting pickup. He looked really good last week. I mean, it's tough to trust anyone on the Pats, but it looks like they've always been good with the two tight ends.
My thought on this is, Tim Wright looked he was a capable running back for a shitty team last year in the Buccaneers, right? Mike Lennon throwing to him. He produced.
He's a tight end.
He produced, and now he's on a team who's notorious for kind of preferring that two tight end set. I was expecting Tim Wright to produce. Maybe not to this level, but I thought he would be relevant in this offense. It's been a little slow to take up, and I'm not even going to trust the production considering the rate of snaps he was on.
Yeah.
I think he can be a good player. I would love for him to be a good player. All the ability is there. I don't trust your Pats offense yet.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, I mean, week to week, you never know. Someone looks great one week and then they don't even dress the next week. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't feel comfortable ever starting anyone on the Patriots. But God damn it, they need because they gave up Logan Mankins just to get this moron. So.
And I do think that he will be a part of this offense. There's no reason for him not to be.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start him this week.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Brendan, he dropped backup guy. He wasn't using it all. He spent $22 on this clown, so hopefully it works out for him. But Brendan also, hasn't used a lot of his waiver wire cap. So he had money to spend. He's going to throw it at Tim Wright. I don't think it's a horrible pickup. It's not going to work out.
I think Brendan thinks he can use that budget to pay off like his student loan debt from going to medical school or something. Like the money's only good for our fantasy league, Brendan. Like start spending money.
Well, he started in like the worst of ways. Okay, so that being said, we're going to dive right into the last trade of the evening. And this is an interesting trade that you and I had actually discussed previously, but we're gonna run it down all over again. So Ross, I don't know his thought process here, but he sends Ben Tate, Julian Edelman, Joyce Bell, and Larry Fitz to Chooch for Bishop Sankey, LaShawn McCoy, and Mike Wallace.
Yeah, you said that we talked about this earlier, and we didn't really make much headway into this trade because neither of us could really understand it. I don't get it.
Not at all.
Ross reacquired a bunch of players that he had previously. I mean, I like that Ross got Bishop Sankey. I think that's kind of a nice speculative ad, considering that he's looked a lot better than Sean Green. And the word out of their camp is that he's going to start getting the ball more and being a bigger part of the offense. But I don't understand it from Chooch's perspective. I don't know why he would want to give up Sankey right now. And if he did, like, why wouldn't he try to do, sell him to some, basically, like, people are going to be high on him. He's a potential, and people go nuts for that. I mean, look at what you just got for Des Bryant. So I think Chooch probably should have shopped around, but at the same time, I'm not sure that I'm kind of take it from it. What do you think? What do you got?
I've gone back and forth on this trade. I think ultimately it's pretty even.
Yeah.
Chooch gets bodies, which is exactly what he needed.
Yeah.
And he gets some
Yep.
capable players. I mean, Ben Tate, like Ben Tate isn't an RB1, but he is a starting running
But
back.
he looked great this week.
He did look good.
He looked really good.
And assuming he can stay on the football field, I think he'll continue to produce for Cleveland. I don't think he's a bad running back at all. He's not an RB1, but I think he's certainly an RB2. Edelman has had 2 tough weeks. I think that's a product of the Pats realizing that Edelman isn't a great football player. I think there is
I could have told him that years ago.
I think there's some aggression there. I think Edelman will have a little bit more of a role. He's not going to settle in that 4 to 8 point range. I think he's more in that 10 point per game range. Joyke Bell, of course, coming off the concussion. Who really knows what happened with that? He could take over the starting role. Of course, Reggie Bush is suspect to injury at any point of the day. Really, he could break his leg eating breakfast for all that I know. Of course, Joyke Bell also could do that. So that's a big risk that you're taking. Larry Fitz, we've already discussed Larry Fitz in our previous.
George Wynn's healthy. George Wynn
is healthy, and you know what? He is having huge success at his grocery chain in downtown Detroit.
Yeah, what a name. God, George Wynn. Maybe that's why I picked him up. Maybe I just saw that name and thought, wow, this is a can't-miss guy.
Or, maybe George...
He sounds like...
George Wynn...
He sounds like he's a mail carrier for the USPS. George Wynn.
Yep. I think George Wynn runs his own, skyscraper window cleaning company, And so it's it's the George Wynn Windex experience.
Yeah, experience. Wow, that's a cool name. He probably has a website that he built through that GeoCities website or whatever. He built it in 1998.
Yes, and it's perfect because when you log in, the actual homepage is really clear, and then there's a scrape, that goes across the screen. And then it's all the contact information.
The most intrusive, basic website ever. It's just you log on and it's just this giant thing, but the only relevant information is just the address and phone number. There's no links. Yeah, it's right. George Wynn. In addition to being a great running back, he is the worst website designer. He should have hired.
He should have. All right. So anyway, that's our story from the waiver wire and the trades this past week. I would like to just touch on real quick before we close out. We brought in the fact that we do have the Lemon Award this year, and it's sitting right there. Kind of off the cuff.
You want to give an update?
I would like to do really is really off the cuff. Who was your lemon leader for the year?
Lemon leader, huh? I hate to say it, I'm definitely a candidate, but I think things will come together for the Ducks a little bit, and I'll scrape out a few wins. Right now, I'm not looking at the leaderboard. I know BMAX had his struggles and his team. It doesn't look great right now. Do you have those standings in front of you? I'm kind of at a. I would normally say John Hart, but he's 4-1. That would just be my standard answer. But
yeah, I know.
You know what? I'm gonna say John Hart. John Hart's my lemon leader right now. Till he proves otherwise. John is the the Lemon Award goes through the Washington Woos. It goes through them. Just like the AFC Championship goes through New England, the Lemon Award always will go through the Washington Woos. What do you think?
I think that despite the fact that John is 4-1, he is hands down the worst 4-1 team I've ever seen in the history of the APHP fantasy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the world, because we could also say that your Dallas Cowboys might be the worst 4-1 team we've ever seen.
Maybe so, but we're not
Right?
talking about real football. We're
Right.
talking about fantasy football.
Yeah, we're talking about. Right.
And also,
So who do you actually have as leader?
The leader, I think, for the lemon leader in my book is Chooch. He has made some moves, but the man hasn't even scored 400 points in 5 weeks. He's had.
I saw that today. I forgot. Yeah.
He's had 540 points scored against him. He makes a big trade this week, and I think it's the right move for him. He's got to make some changes in that squad, but I don't think they're enough to really boost him out of that last overall position.
Yeah, I hadn't even. You're right. I forgot about Chuck. Yeah, it's insane. He scored like 397 points, and the first place team has scored like 550 something.
Yes.
That after what was it, 4 or 5 weeks? Yeah, you're right. It's probably Chuck.
But I wish him the best of luck. I hope he gets it together.
What a good. Yeah.
But right now he's my lemon leader.
Insert diabetes or whatever. If Jamie was here, we'd have something funny to say about beaties, but we got nothing.
Yeah, well, your definition of funny is certainly different than mine. So, on that note, until next week.
Yeah. Until next week. Oh, is this where I'm supposed to say my my closer?
Yeah.
I still don't have one.